Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys how to set up your game cameras. So you'll all be assigned coordinates of where to put the game cameras. Think of those more as a guide than where your camera has to be exactly. So walk to that point, get the GPS unit to be within 3 or 5 meters, okay? And then have a look around you. Take a look at the trees in the forest around you. Find one that would be a good place to set your game camera. We've chosen this tulip tree here, this yellow poplar. This is kind of the perfect size for a game camera, and so this is where we'll place ours. We're going to place our game cameras about 50 centimeters off the ground. For most people, what that translates to is about knee height. So I'll plant my foot on the ground, lean my leg against the tree, and just kind of rest the camera on my knee. This actually makes it nice and easy for when I then have to wrap the cable around the tree. So we'll take the cable here. There's 2 holes, 2 guides in the back of your camera for the cable to go through. And then when you put it through the other end, make sure that you follow the arrow. If you put it in backwards, your cable won't actually lock. We'll put that in. We'll make it nice and tight. Okay. We'll get that nice and tight there. It's not going anywhere. And then I always like to make these nice and snug. So what I'm doing is just walking behind the camera a little bit and tucking the excess cable into what's already wrapped around the tree. So we have a nicely seated game camera here, about 50 centimeters off the ground. This is going to allow us to take photographs of the smaller critters, raccoons, squirrels, chipmunks, mice. And just because of their sheer size, we'll be able to get all the bigger critters, coyotes, deer, bear. All right, next it's going to be important to clear the vegetation, at least in the immediate area around your camera. Otherwise, you can get windy vegetation making the trigger on the camera take 1,000 pictures. This can also obscure some of the bigger animals. So go ahead, you can be a little aggressive here. It's okay. We're just gonna clip out a bunch of this stuff. Goodbye tree. Thank you for contributing to science. Okay. Make it so the area in front of the camera is nice and unobstructed. And then you don't have to go too far out. But this way, the vegetation won't get in the way of any of our pictures. Also, don't be me. Don't leave your key in the lock. Otherwise, the lock is worthless. Take it out. I have the flag on here so that if you drop it, whoop, it's easy to find. And I have duplicate keys anyway, but it's a pain in the butt to have to find them, so please don't lose a key. Okay, now what we're going to do is the distance test. See how far away you can go and the camera can still detect you, okay? So the way we're gonna do this is we're gonna open our camera and we are gonna put the camera in setup mode, just like we did earlier when making the settings, okay? We're gonna keep it in setup mode and close it. See this little red light? That means that it is detecting motion, okay? Move my hands, it turns on, I'm standing still, it doesn't do anything, okay? And so, here I am, camera's in the same place. Just flip my phone around a little bit so you can see the other side. And I am going to walk in a zigzag pattern. Your partner will stay at the tree. You'll keep doing the zigzag pattern, getting a little bit further out each time. When you stop triggering the camera, that's the effective detection range of your game camera. So I'll walk out in a zigzag way, and then I'll walk back the other way. I can see that the camera is still triggering. Come back out again. On my zigzag walk, I can see that the camera is still triggering, and I'm going to keep doing this until I stop triggering the camera. Then I'm going to take my measuring tape and measure the distance between the last time the camera triggered and the camera itself. All right, now for the final step. We still have the camera in setup mode. You can tell because the red light is flashing. That red light flashing is actually no good. We don't want that when the camera is on, because that means animals and maybe people can see it, okay? What we need to do at this point, we're gonna open our camera. We'll turn it off just to reset everything. And then we're gonna turn it to the on mode. You can see that it's blinking, blinking, blinking. It's going to do that for about 10 seconds. That tells you the camera is arming. When it stops blinking, the camera is armed. Some students think that just because it stopped blinking that it's not taking pictures anymore. It is taking pictures now. We just don't want every animal to know when it is taking pictures. Okay. At this point, you have one last thing to do. At this point, your group has one last thing to do. That's to pull up any remaining vegetation. Squat down in front of the camera, give a nice wave. It's going to take a picture of you, but with that picture, it's going to be a timestamp so we know the date and the time that you set your camera out. This is going to be the starting time. You'll do the same thing when you retrieve your camera. Okay, we're fast forwarding 3 weeks now. You're coming back out into the field to get your camera. You come up to your camera. The first thing you're going to do, squat down in front of it, give a nice wave. We'll mark this as the end of your survey. Okay, when you retrieve your camera, open it up. You can turn it to off. If you want to make sure it's been working, you can put it in setup mode. And we see here that in the mock 3 weeks that the camera was up, it took 129 photographs out of a possible total of 3,101 storage. So we're doing pretty good. At this point, you can take your camera down, do your vegetation measurements. You're good to go.